What's happening, YouTube? It's Simon466 Cards, and today we're going to make a short video about Deshaun Watson's card prices because I think no matter what he does this season, no matter how well he plays or doesn't play, his card prices are going to go down. So let me explain. It starts off with a very simple premise. Does Deshaun Watson and the Browns, do they play well in 2023? In this upcoming season? And so one of the answers is no, right? If he's, let's say he's not among the top 5 QBs in the NFL, the Browns don't make it very far in the playoffs, I think it's pretty common sense to say, as a result, Deshaun Watson's card prices will go down. Because you can't just be a top QB. You have to be a top QB and have playoff success, as we've seen from other QBs in the past, right? You need both of those things. You just can't have one. You need both individual success and team success, right? So I think there shouldn't be any or much argument about this scenario where Deshaun Watson and the Browns do not play well. Okay, now let's go to the flip scenario. Let's say Deshaun Watson and the Browns do play well. He is among the top 5 QBs in the NFL and they make it far in the playoffs. Let's say the AFC Championship game, right? So basically the Final Four. What does that lead to? You know, you're among the Final Four teams. He is one of the best QBs of the season. He's gonna get a lot of national media attention, right? Because he's the QB leading the team to the AFC Championship game. Browns haven't made it in forever and a day, right? Like that's huge news. It's going to be on PTI, First Take, those type of shows, right? And that's when things go sideways. Because obviously we in the hobby know about Deshaun Watson's history of misdeeds, to put it mildly. But it's mostly been a very football and NFL specific story. It hasn't really made the national headlines because Deshaun Watson played for the Houston Texans, and then he played and then he got traded to the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns didn't make the playoffs. Deshaun Watson hasn't had too much team success. This also happened like towards the end of the pandemic, so there was a whole lot of other stuff going on. So it wasn't really a national story. It was more of like a confined NFL story, and it was an ugly story, very ugly story. And so it's one of those kind of icky things. Do we really want to talk about it kind of things, right? But you bring him to the big stage of the AFC Championship game. He's in the Final Four. He's leading the team. He's the top quarterback. It just shines a light in a way that is not going to be helpful to him, right? And so what I think will happen is there'll be some ESPN profile. More women might come out because I don't know that every single person that he did these things to has come out yet, right? Like I think there's more, and this will become more of a story. You could see, I don't know, like a CNN, like a 60 Minutes, doing a deep dive at some point into all of these allegations and all the lawsuits and all the criminal charges and all that kind of stuff. And it just turns ugly as the national feeling about him just kind of turns him into persona non grata, right? And that's, I think, what happens is you basically shine a spotlight on this person who has done all of these horrible things, and it's like Ray Rice, but like way worse. It's not quite OJ Simpson bad, but it's bad, and it just makes him like he has this like big stain on his name, and rightfully so. I'm not justifying anything at all. And that's the thing that will make him like, oh, do I really want to be holding this guy's cards when everybody's like, oh, you like, imagine you're like, oh yeah, what are you buying? Oh, I bought a Deshaun Watson card. You bought a Deshaun Watson card? What's wrong with you? Or you have a girlfriend, a wife, a mom, sister, kids, right? We'd like to think that performance on the field is the only thing that matters. It's not, right? Otherwise, like Tim Duncan would be, his cards would be worth like 2, 3, 5x what they are, right? Uh, the perception of that player, his persona, all his legacy, all that kind of stuff is. And like, I'll be honest, no matter what Deshaun Watson does on the field, his persona, his legacy, his how you view him as a human being is going to be affected by what he did. And so as a result, inevitably his card prices will still go down. So that's the video, really short one here today. I would love to hear your comments on whether or not you agree with my approach or my thoughts on Deshaun Watson. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's very similar to the Streisand effect that happened to Barbra Streisand once upon a time, I believe in like the 70s, I'm gonna say maybe early 80s. Definitely Google the Barbra Streisand effect if you haven't if you're not familiar with it. And this is kind of like a distant cousin or like an offshoot of the Streisand effect. So would love to hear your thoughts on this one, whether or not you think this one is true. But anyways, I would not be holding any Deshaun Watson cards if it were up to me. But I guess time will tell. As we always do on this channel, we preview the next video. And next time, this is going to be a fun one. We're going to talk about what I think will happen to all the worthless slabs in 10 years. Or maybe even 5. But what's going to happen to all these slabs that have been made? PSA's churning out 1 million a month, right? What happens to all these things in 10 years, in 5 years, when inevitably all of them are not worth much of anything? So that'll be for next time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for listening and watching. And I will talk to you all soon. Cheers.